All right, we are live again, back. Proud Masculines Wednesday live stream. Thank you, everybody, for coming in again. And we have today a repeat guest, which we're going to see more of him in the future and others. And I told you we'd have to have a part two with this guy because he's got a lot to teach and a lot to tell us about. Hold on. I have a technical
Says you're
issue.
live.
No, I had my YouTube on and I could hear the delay.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Anyway, not just from the results he's gotten in life, but from what I've gotten personally from working directly with him with hypnotherapy. It's changed my life. It was the catalyst to the beginning of the change.
You just made my day, man.
It's true.
I love it. I love to hear this stuff. I love to make a difference. Yeah, keep going.
You're the first guy I worked with this, and it was probably the most impactful therapy that I've ever been through in my life. You remember my first session? It was like 5 years ago. Can you believe that? I've come such a long way.
Yeah, man. Now you got your own company, right?
Yeah, I do.
You're your own man. And last time I checked in with you, you had more work than you can handle. Is that right?
That is true.
Damn.
Is true. Life is great. Life is amazing in every area. And you know what my problems look like now? Which job do I pick? Which hobby do I give attention to? Which you know what I mean? It's not like, can I peel myself out of bed? Can I stand and look at myself in the mirror? Am I good enough? Am I worthy? Like all these things I used to battle, these demons, and you know what that's like. And I don't deal with that anymore. And I've always been told your quality of life is directly proportional to the quality of your problems. So everybody has problems. It's the problems you want to have that are good problems. So, and that is the case. And
yeah, I got problems now, dealing with them, starting a new business from scratch and learning everything, learning digital marketing for the last year plus. It's been a challenge, but we're moving forward,
well, I mean, anything. The fact that you've done enough and I've done enough to have the courage to step out and put yourself into that situation, to step into that discomfort, that fear, but knowing you have the stones, like, you know what, I'm gonna go do this. I'm gonna be on, I have to get my sea legs underneath me, but in the long run, I know I'm gonna accomplish this because of who I am. And you do it anyway. And you learn on the fly. It's a trial by fire. And you still figure it out day to day. I'm learning.
You do. I've F-bombed my camera 24 times in the last few months, but sorry, keep going.
No, this technology is not my thing. This is why we have Joel Henry, usually my guy, the man behind the scenes who sets all this up and arranges all this. Thank you, Joel. Everybody knows Joel from Sobriety University. Great guy, great program. If you're struggling in recovery and you need a good support network, Sobriety University. My guy, Joel, always been a huge supporter of mine. And he does all of my editing, shorts, TikTok, anything that you see pop up on social media is him.
Oh, wow.
Matter of fact, he lives in Mexico City. So
does he? I got to meet him. Put us together.
I did. You never did call him about doing your editing and stuff?
What's his name again?
Joel Henry. I'll shoot you his information.
Yeah, 100%.
Top tier.
At the very least, I gotta break bread with him somewhere.
Yeah. Top tier. He's a G. You'll like.
Love it. I vaguely do remember you mentioning something now, but we never connected. We have to.
Yeah, make it a point. You'll be glad you did. Solid dude. So anyway, a few upcoming things we have. I told you this is Ryan, is one of the guests that would be returning. We also have another hypnotherapist coming in a few weeks, and we're going to have Lysander Collegio back on to tell the second half of his story. And in between and here and there, we'll be doing Q&As. And this is why I encourage subscribers who tune into the stream or even through my social media. If you're struggling with something, and I'll have an open Wednesday for Q&A. And I'm still working on opening the Patreon. It's a little more work than I thought. That way we can get down to the nitty gritty and the stuff that we can't really talk about on YouTube to help you. big time with real solutions that we can ask a little bit more direct questions, if you know what I mean. So now we're going on with the interview, which is great to have you back, by the way. Always good to see you.
Yeah, always, man.
I have nothing but the greatest associations with you. Like every time I think of you, it's all positive. We've had many long conversations. You've done some very deep, difficult work. It was very impactful in my life, and I thank you for that. And I will every time I see you. And I believe you have a lot to offer young men and older men, and especially people who have grown up in dysfunction, which is almost everybody, and who's being held back by an old limiting belief that some people aren't even aware of. But they do have this underlying voice that says, there's got to be something more to this. There's got to be something more. And you know how to find out what that something more is, what's holding them back. And I'm a testament to it works. It truly does. Now, it's not the magic pill. There's work to do after that. There's usually a few sessions you need. But it's like anything else. You got to put some time in it. You're going to have to get a little uncomfortable going to some dark places that you never really like. Nobody likes to go. But that's what makes the difference between a good guy and a great man, is the guy willing to step into that discomfort and that fear. So
you step into it and then you clean it out, then it's gone, and then it's not screwing up your entire life from now until the day you die. It's worth it.
You essentially kill that voice.
Yeah.
You kill that side of you. It's gone. It's dead. And look, I went through a bit of a grieving process, letting that part of myself go. And that's part of it. But it's not as heavy and dark as people might make that part out to be. But there is a little bit of a process. I mean, you got to figure the older you get, the longer you have spent time with that side of yourself. And it's not doing you good anymore. But at one point, that system was placed there to protect you and help you. Mm-hmm. So that's why it's still there, because it thinks it's helping you. It doesn't realize it's your subconscious. It doesn't know positive, negative. It just knows it's there, and it's put there for a reason from a long time ago.
It's a coping mechanism for survival.
Yes.
So,
but at some point it becomes counterproductive, self-destructive. And this is where you see the self-sabotage, the limiting belief systems that start to creep in every time it seems like you got something good going, it falls apart and you can't figure out why. Well, it's you. It's that little system in there that's taking everything apart. So that's a good explanation, and that's a good jumping off point. What is have you read any books since we talked?
Let's see. I know I have, and I can't remember what the book was. Last time we talked, I was reading The 3% Man.
Yeah.
And I know I started on one, but I haven't looked at it for about a month, so I couldn't tell you. I'm busy creating content, which involves some research, which is just like an article here on the internet, this other source there. I couldn't tell you off the top of my head, though, except, man, there was one I was starting on. It was really good, and I can't remember what it is. I'll tell you the next book I want to read, which directly impacts my life now, is called The Dip. And it's about when you start a new business. And my last business I had, and I still do somewhat, had for over 20 years. But started a new business, been doing this part-time for 5 years, hypnosis for others, group training, digital products, teaching people how to hypnotize themselves. I got a free course on my Mind Crystals platform. Talk about that later if you want. But really went full-time last year and start out with a ton of enthusiasm. But I'm in a market, even though I've been doing sessions for others for 6 years, self-hypnosis for 12, just seeing tons of success. Lots of guys like you did it for myself, changed my life. Very profound, deep changes that I never thought were possible at this level of depth, and also how permanent and rapid it can be. Although you can still find new stuff every now and then to kind of something that's triggered in you, and you keep clearing it. So thought I came in with experience, with guidance, but really digital marketing for the first time last year. And yeah, I hit the dip, man. I had the enthusiasm. I was working, 7 days a week, hitting shit hard. And then I owned a quarter of a roofing company, and the majority owner died, and it went under. I lost my investment. Um, and I was in 3 different countries last year, including the US, 2 Latin American countries. But learning all this digital marketing, it's just making mistakes, missteps, trying things that don't work out, trying things that work out a little, and just a lot of challenges. So it's really interesting to see when you clear out your internal world, you do tend to have a lot more success. My income doubled within 2 years, not even trying, when I first started clearing out my internal world. Then I tried and I doubled it again. And it's like, oh, you get kind of used. I mean, it really does. There's a certain type of confidence you can have in you, just knowing you have value and in knowing that you can go places and get things done and sooner or later succeed as you learn. Yeah. But then there's a certain type of confidence when you actually succeed, when you have a lot of success. And I went back to beginner level, last year. And it is interesting to see, or for me to notice the difference between me starting my business 20 years ago and how I reacted then to so much stuff and how I react now to all these challenges. I don't care who you are. If you start a new business in a field where there's some things you've just never done before, there's going to be issues, challenges. It's going to be a shit show at times. That's just how it is. I mean, would you agree? How long ago did you start your construction business?
There's almost 2 years. Yeah. Still.
Yeah. How was that for you starting out? You may have known some stuff about construction, but doing it as a business, how was that for you?
Well, it was definitely a learning curve with the logistics. See, I'm still small enough to where I'm the contractor, the carpenter, the helper, the estimator, the bill collector, the delivery guy, the ordering, like logistics guy. I'm everything. I'm a one-man show. But I wanted to do that. I wanted to start there. Yeah. That way, when I go to delegate, which I'm slowly starting to do, I've hired somebody that I can start training to show them to handle jobs the way I do it, teach them my system. That way I can step aside and focus on other things.
Yeah.
Let them run that and then add somebody else, just compounding. And it's a definite learning curve because I knew the work. I knew most of the work, and I've always been really good with my hands and figuring stuff out, like just creating things. But it's the business side that nobody talks about.
The business side, exactly. Yeah.
The relationships, like people underestimate how important relationships are in business. You get to know these people that you're working for on an intimate level where like you're dealing with their home, you're dealing with their creation, their money, their futures, their investments. And over time, you build a relationship with these people. And all relationships at the foundation are built on trust and reliability. Yeah. So, and it's over time being able to deliver over and over, even when I make a mistake, because you're gonna make fucking mistakes. Yeah. As that saying, if you're not willing to look like the fool, you'll never be the master. And that's just part of mastery is making those mistakes. Like I've kind of put myself through my own apprenticeship. Now, I do have a mentor, which I suggest anybody in any field to have some kind of guidance, especially in the beginning.
100%.
Right? So
yeah,
the most successful people in the world do this. They have mentors.
Alex Hormozy spent $500,000 on mentors training programs. I know John MLD's paid some guys $1,000 an hour. I think he had one guy who was like $2,000 an hour, and he pay it.
Yeah, I paid one guy was $1,500 an hour to get to YouTube insight. But that's what it takes. But you're investing in your biggest asset, which is yourself. And that tells me a lot about a guy if he's willing to spend that money and invest in himself. That tells me he can be taken seriously. and he really wants to do what it takes to make the changes that need to be made.
Yeah.
You find these people that dance around and penny pinch. I did a little stream on that a few weeks ago because I've had people come in and try to sidestep my pricing, my per hour pricing, and give me the sob story about, oh, I can't afford this. Well, but then they tell me about how they went out, they saw the ex-girlfriend out at this club. He went to this club all night. And I'm like, oh, wait a minute. You telling me you can't pay my rate per hour, but you got money to go out and clubbing, buying drinks and shit at clubs? That just sounds like you got your priorities mixed up to me.
Yeah.
And what that tells me, that communicates to me is, A, you don't think I'm worth what I charge, and B, you don't think you're worth it. And because you know as well as I do, if there's not a price tag attached, it's not going to be respected and valued.
Yeah. Every now and then I'll do a pro bono session feeling sorry for someone. I don't do very many. And
I quit that altogether.
More than half of them,
it wastes your time.
It's not a good experience for me.
No.
There was a girl I was dating. I did a session for her, and that actually really helped her. But I've done 2 pro bono sessions this year. One, the girl I was dating, this other guy just I don't even think he said thank you to me. And again, I rarely do it, but I'm leaning more towards never because they don't value it,
It's not valued. It's seen as a joke. I helped one guy, and it was the same thing. I said, look,
tell them to mow some lawns and get the money and then pay you and you appreciate it. But
I say go get the money however you need. You got a credit card. You got the ability to make my hourly fee, which isn't that much.
Yeah.
Compared to the value you get working with me.
Yeah. 100%, man.
So, and that's just, the fact is it's the 80-20 rules that applies to everything else. And it's 80% are takers. You have takers and you have genuine givers, which are rare. These people are just takers. They run through life looking to see what value they can steal. And I call it stealing. Everything they have, there's this entitlement, this expectation,
victim mindset.
Yeah, that they should be the one that doesn't have to work as hard as everybody else to get somewhere, to get where to go. Yeah. And I've just quit altogether, even entertaining people who aren't willing to pay. I can't do anything with it. Oh, the guy helped. He was given to me by somebody. He had the story at his girlfriend. It was a pretty bad breakup. Mm-hmm. His girl left him for his roommate, kicked him out of his dorm to move the girlfriend in. He was in college, broke, and this guy was suffering with severe anxiety. So I said, look, if you're willing to do the work, do what I say to the T, I can work with you. But if you waste my time, if I get wind that you're not doing and keeping up with the program, you're gone. And that's
the people who pay money do what you say.
Yeah, because they have their value and worth.
They invested in it.
Right.
Yeah.
So I helped this guy for 6 weeks. By week 6, he was on a date, a couple of dates already. And this guy would get anxiety sitting at home thinking about walking up to a chick and asking for her number. That's how bad it was. By week 6, he had dates. So, and I put him through the steps. I showed him exactly what to do, how to do it. He reported back to me every week. We had a check-in. And I said, well, great. How do you feel? He's like, you helped me. I don't even know how to explain how much this helped. I don't know what you did. I said, well, I just showed you. You did the work. And that's what needs to be done. I said, but you got to keep going. This doesn't end here. It's always improvement, constant improvement. I said, but look, leave me a review in the community, a positive review. And he glazed over with this 3-word, Joe was a big help with that. And
what a dick.
So I was like, bro, what was that? What do you expect me to say? I mean, you told me I did the work. I'm like, oh, I see. That was the last person I helped.
All right. Yeah. F that guy.
But I've had worse ones that they would call me back and be like, well, why don't I try this? And why don't I try this? And I'm like, dude, you came to me. I don't need your help. I said, you're in a position you're in because of the shit you did. Your best decision making got you here. Like, what makes you think you're going to tell me what you think you ought to do? I said, if it's going to be like that, you just go handle your business. Go figure it out.
Yeah. Yeah, 100%.
That's how it is. When people who pay me, who come in, no questions asked, they're like, okay, let's get to work. Where do you want me to begin? This. And they do it to the T, and they get the results so much faster, and they're motivated. When you invest, this money is just a small part. You've invested your time, your energy, your presence, everything into this money that you're paying. So this is you investing in your true value. That money that represents the values, it represents you.
Mm-hmm.
You invest that, and you want to protect that investment. So you're going to get the most you can out of it, right? So
yes, sir.
Look at I'll give you an example. Look at Planet Fitness business model, $10 a month. And
they know 99% to go, or like 98%, is it?
They just leave it. They just leave. It's a $10 payment. Nobody misses that. They bank on people signing up and not going to the gym.
Yeah,
because it's worthless. It's cheap. It means nothing to them. It's just $10. Who cares? They never.
$100 a month. They'll go.
Yeah, I belong to a high-end health club. I'm there as much as I can be
because it costs.
Yeah, I use the towels and I use the cold plunge and the sauna. Like I use all the amenities, and I'm there working out as often because I want to get my money's worth, get my values worth.
Yeah.
And that's a different type of thinking. That's a different type of person, and that's what I mean. The people who think like that, who think like, how much less can I get this for? Usually aren't people that want to be helped. They're just people who want to be told some comforting lies about how bad the world is to them. And I'm not the guy for that.
Well, and that's the point. It's comforting because going inward, fixing your internal world takes courage. It's hard. The payoff is freaking massive.
Well, you can't even put into words. And this is what I try telling you.
If these people knew what the payoff would be, I think a lot of them would have the courage to do it, but they've never had the courage to really take accountability and acknowledge stuff. And so they don't even know.
This is my whole point.
That's what's sad, man.
People who think like that can't even, they're so caught up in their own little small-minded thinking. They can't even begin to fathom that there's a reward on the other side of this pain and discomfort.
They can't fathom the life they could have.
No, because they're trapped.
And we see that, the people who do the work, Brent Caldwell, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. You
know him personally.
Yeah.
And he's probably been with you in Florida on a few of those meetups. Could not hold down a job. It tried for 6 years to get his master mechanic certification. We fixed his internal world, had him face some hard stuff, but clear it out. 3 sessions. He's like 29, making 6 figures. He's a homeowner. He's pulling in some serious dough. He's not borderline 6 figures. Went from not holding down a job. He went like a year and a half, couldn't get laid. I'm telling you stuff from his public interview with me on my YouTube, so I'm not betraying his trust. Has abundance now.
Yeah,
has a great and he's doing the work and he's kicking ass. And
he's a hypnotherapist now.
He got certified hypnotherapist. He says he plans to get down to Mexico City where I'm at, and then we're just gonna watch out Mexico City when he gets here. But what if he never had taken that step? He would be living with his folks,
still in New Jersey,
have a job for a few months, lose the job, feeling like crap, angry, all this other stuff. That's not him anymore. He, like I said, 6 figures, the abundance with females, like his, I've met his, I don't know if he has a girlfriend now, but he's had some girlfriends. They were all, great girls, cute, respectful, sweet, feminine. He gets that now. No problem, but you got to do the work, And you and I, same thing, man. It's like you just make it happen. You can. At the end of every live, I do live shows every Saturday. At the end, I always say you have more power than you know. And it's because people don't realize you fix your internal world and build your subconscious belief in your ability and value, your ability to get what you want if you're willing to work for it, and that if you matter, what you want matters. You're standing up for if you matter. And the more we do anything, we learn, we grow. The more we do anything, the better we get, until we get enough still to get what we want. And what we want is worth it, because it's what we want. It's not what anyone else wants. Once you get this in your core, good shit happens, man.
Well, and you can't, for people who doom and gloom and are trapped. This is the part that I explain to these men that I work with. It's like, you don't need to understand it. You don't have to do anything but chop wood and carry water. The results will come. Don't try to understand it, right? Don't try to intellectualize it. Don't try to fit it into your model of thinking, because it will not fit right now. You don't have the space for that. You're not going to, you can't see that shade of light yet. You don't have the eyes for it. And the only thing you have to do is trust the process. Do the work. Left foot, right foot, chop wood, carry water. The results will come. You just have to have a glimpse. Just barely crack the door open on willingness and courage to take the leap. Just dip your toe in the water. That's
well, and there's external and internal world, so.
Well, guess what? If you don't fix the internal, like how many sessions external will just keep repeating itself, until you fix that internal. You're not like, you're going to default to your lowest level of programming.
Yeah.
It's going to take you to the same place, different people, different job, different chicks. It's going to be the same relationship with a different person, the same dead-end jobs, the same self-sabotaging behaviors, like just in different situations throughout your whole life. It'll just keep repeating itself until you fix that.
There is something I want to, make clear for our audience. Don't tie your value to success. We're talking about having great lives and stuff. It really starts with clearing out your internal world, because I was, living in just a bottom floor house in Utah. No girlfriend, living with my brother, and 38 years old. This is 12 years ago. And I had low-level depression. I had just anxiety all the time. I was pissed off at the world and disappointed I, hadn't gotten farther in life. When I found self-hypnosis, all of a sudden I was happy for no reason. My circumstances at that point hadn't changed, because the internal change was like that. It was like like after 3 or 4 self-hypnosis audios, which are not as nearly as effective as like a one-on-one, but still very powerful. All of a sudden I was happy for no reason. But what happens, you clear out your internal world and you get that self-belief, self-love, happiness, unconditional acceptance. Doesn't mean we don't see our flaws. We face our flaws and we say, it's okay that I have them. I'm still good enough. And, the more I do anything, the better I get. So, and what I want's important. I'm worth standing up for. I deserve good things. I got to do the work, but I deserve them. So you get to work. And then within 2 years, wasn't even trying, my income doubled. And I'm doing what I want now, So it's kind of like this outer world stuff. It is an extension of your inner world.
It's a reflection of.
Yeah, exactly. But I don't want our audience to think, because you see people who are incredibly successful and then they self-delete. Robin Williams, Marilyn Monroe, Kurt Cobain. That's the 3 I always use. There's a guy, I don't know if he's red pill, but he was like a dating coach, not yet 30 years old. He had a Rolls Royce, multimillionaire, all the, dating 9s and 10s. He just self-deleted. John Anthony, not too long ago. Not the guy in Brazil, but another guy.
What are you talking about?
Yeah. Self-deleted.
Well, listen,
like a month ago, 2 months ago, not recently. And he had everything. He had a Rolls Royce, multimillionaire, not even 30.
That you can't fill that God-shaped empty void that
with outside success.
No, nothing fits. Nothing will ever fill that hole. Matter of fact, I think it accelerates the process of getting worse and worse, because you're thinking, why the fuck is this not getting better?
Yeah, what happens is you get all this outside stuff and you're like, I still feel like shit. Well, that was my only plan. What am I going to do now? My plan didn't work. Now you're hopeless.
Yes. And a man
So,
who feels useless and hopeless is a dangerous person.
yeah, exactly. So there are some people who become very successful in their internal worlds, you know, trauma based, lots of toxic shame, and just, and that's not the way to do it. You start with the internal world, get that right. And then because you believe yourself, your ability, your value, what you want's important because you're important. The authentic real you is the best part of you. You don't need to put a mask on and do what other people find are acceptable. Then you go out and kick ass. That's the best way to do it. And it's great, but it does start internally.
I used to love when you tell me that. Go kick some ass.
Yeah, man. So you can be happy now. You don't need all this external stuff, but it does kind of happen when you fix your internal world. Good shit happens. But like I said, that I started talking. You asked me what book I read. I watched a video about it, and so it's on my to read list. It's called The Dip. It says anyone who starts, and Alex Hormozy, who made 100 million by age 30, and now they're making like 200 million a year revenue or something crazy like that, and he's 34. He says, every business owner has 4 stages. I thought I could escape it. Nope. It's like you have this initial optimism, everything's going to be great, and then you hit all these obstacles and challenges unique to your industry that you didn't know about.
Yeah.
Because you're a beginner. My old job, I set up, domestic and international business and estate planning, protecting people's wealth from lawsuits, made really good money, my own boss, etc. Went into this other business, and digital marketing came in not knowing shit. But I'm like, oh my goodness, I have such a track record of just absolutely changing people's lives very quickly. Like 1 session, 2 sessions. Yeah, some people need 5 or 6. 80%, 1 or 2 sessions, and they're just boom. They're like Brent Caldwell, And so of course everyone's just gonna keep piling in. At one point I was booked out 5 months. I was doing it.
I remember that because I called you for a session.
Yeah, you book a session, you're like, yeah, it's 3 months out, bro. But now going full time into actually marketing for myself instead of just leaning on, clients given to me by John MLD and others. And you hit that dip, man, after the enthusiasm, new field, digital marketing, not much knowledge at all coming in and finding all these obstacles. Before 20 years ago, I had a business 25 years ago, almost 24. I had a business fail. I felt like the biggest loser on the planet for 6 months straight. Just absolutely felt like shit for 6. I was not a loser, but I felt like one because of my belief system back then. I had the roofing company fail this year. Right? My partner died, but honestly, the company is kind of struggling anyways. And it sucks, but it is interesting to see how I deal with failure, disappointment, frustration now compared to 20 years ago, and it's totally different. Yeah. It's totally different.
No effect. It's like, okay, well,
we're not robots. I'll still get maybe temporarily frustrated, disappointed, bummed out, whatever, but there's just this inner resilience. You just bounce back and hey, it's a new day. And there was this show called Undercover Billionaire. Season 2 had Grant Cardone on it. Do you know who I'm talking about?
Yeah.
And the challenge was they gave 90 days. They dropped Grant Cardone off in a town he'd never been to. It's a town in Colorado of 100,000. Never been there. Didn't know anyone. He has a phone with no contacts in it. He had to wear a disguise so no one knew he was Grant Cardone. And they gave him $100 and a truck with 200,000 miles on it and a phone with no contacts. He has 90 days to build $1 million business. And they dropped him off right before COVID hit, right before the lockdown. So about 20 days in, they actually had to stop the show because of the lockdowns. And then after they started the show again, he got COVID. And he had COVID for 2 weeks of this 90 days. You see the struggles he goes through. He's like, I can't be the real authentic me. This sucks. And how am I going to do this and that? But he'll have a tough period. And then the very next day, he just bounces right back. And he's like, He's like, man, I got this new idea. I'm going to 10x the shit out of this. And he just keeps going. And guess what? At the end of 90 days, the business he built in that town he'd never been to before, he never spent that $100. He had the $100 in his pocket the whole time. He found some guy at an RV park, and he was able to negotiate a deal and sleep in one of the RVs they're not being used for free. And he made enough money. He didn't even use $100 they gave him. And at the end of the 90 days, they valued his business at $5.5 million. Oof. Through COVID, through all that shit. And he had days where he was really bummed out, where he was like coughing with COVID and all this stuff. And he was like really discouraged, and he just bounced the hell back.
Imagine having the resilience, the fortitude, the self-belief, the willpower.
You get your inner world right. That's what you get, baby.
Exactly. Look, I went through
because the sun's coming down, and give me just like 5 seconds, but keep talking.
It looks fine to me.
Okay. Keep talking though.
So I went through about a year of that. A year of just one loss after another. It hit its worst point earlier this year. I went through 2 months of absolute.
Sounds like me, man. You're starting a new business. It's
dude.
The book is called The Dip because every new business has a dip where you hit a bunch of shit and you got to work through it. And it's fucking tough, but you do it if you have a good inner world. You get through it.
Let me tell you about this 2 months. Like burnout doesn't even begin to do justice of how what had happened to me mentally, emotionally, physically, spiritually. I was bankrupt, dude. I didn't know if I was going to make it out of this. I had a big consequence for that. I thought it was over. And then one day I was like, you know what? It was late at night. I was working from 6 a.m, sometimes 10, 11 o'clock at night, every day. I was not able to make it to the gym regularly. I still had my personal training clients. Still had my business to run day to day. 4 different jobs popping at one time. Shit just got out of hand. It seemed like overnight. You know, obviously I could connect the dots looking back.
Yeah.
See where I was slowly unraveling and making mistakes, getting too focused on one thing. And well,
we're not perfect. Even when our inner world's good, shit happens.
You know, dude. I didn't think I was going to make it at first. I had reached a point, probably about the 6-week mark, where I was driving home. I could barely keep my eyes open. And it's like I was so stressed, burnt out. I was so tired, but I couldn't sleep. But then I could barely function the next day. If you ask me how, I couldn't even tell you. Left foot, right foot is what I did for a while. And
sometimes that's what you got to do, man.
I made a fucking decision that night. Like, wait a minute. I didn't come all this way, do all this, invest my heart and soul into this to even entertain the thought of letting this fall apart. And the very next morning I woke up, I made a few phone calls. I had one thing. I said, the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to get this job out of the way. Boom, called, seeing what it would take to get the job completed and get paid. Bam. That's where it all began. That decision I made late at night with my my facilities are just blank. But somewhere there was a spark that allowed me to just make the decision that I was going to change this. This was not going to defeat me. It was not going to beat me. It cost me something pretty important. I ain't going to get into that. But that story kind of tells itself too. But
well, I want to comment on that if I can and talk about how our subconscious works.
Yeah, let's hear it.
And season 2 Undercover Billionaire, watch that with Grant Cardone. You'll see him in action doing what you just talked about you doing, which is here's how our subconscious works. We have these deep down beliefs about who we are, our ability, our value, our worth, just whatever, our identity. And it acts like gravity.
Yeah.
Sooner or later, it's going to pull us in our outside world to where our subconscious believes we should be. And our subconscious is super powerful. It processes 1,000 times more bits of data per second than our conscious mind. It picks up on all sorts of stuff our subconscious mind misses, and it influences us in ways we don't consciously realize. But it's like gravity. It's just like a set point, and you have this point here. Maybe your subconscious really good. So it's like, hey, I'm a tough motherfucker. I get shit done. I have value. Sooner or later, I'm going to win. I'll keep going. If I make mistakes, that's okay. I learn from them and I get better. Let's say you have that.
That is exactly what I thought. That was the exact thought pattern. Like, hold the fuck up.
By the way, David Goggins does this, and he's huge on internal world. And I'll tell you how it applies to me, and you could talk more about how it applies to you. Mm-hmm. But what happens is things can hit us and temporarily bring us down. Yeah. But if our subconscious is up here, sooner or later, it goes back up to where our subconscious is, and when I have challenges, there's a couple things I remember. Number one, this is only temporary.
Yes.
Number two, remember who you are. And I'm like, oh yeah, oh shit, I got value and I've been through way tougher shit than this before and come out on top. This is just temporary, dude. Yes. That's exactly what David Goggins does. He's like, he has struggles. He's like, remember who you are, man. Remember what you've been through and overcome.
The cookie jar.
Yeah. And that you see, same thing. Watch season 2, Undercover Billionaire. It's like, I think you can get it on Amazon Prime. That's, or it might be on Hulu right now. I'm not sure. But all this crap, I mean, 90 days to start $1 million business from scratch in a city, a town of 100,000 where he doesn't know a single soul, no contacts in his phone, has to wear a disguise. No one knows who he is. A beat up junker truck with 200,000 miles on it and $100 in his pocket. And they start filming right before COVID. He's through the lockdowns. He gets COVID. And at the end of 90 days, he has a $5.5 million business. And you see him struggling, but you see him time after time. The next day, he just pops right back up. He's resilient as hell. Why? That's his subconscious, because his subconscious is way up here. You see, love him or hate him, President Trump. He's had so much shit thrown at him.
Dude, don't quit.
Look how tough that dude is. You get a good subconscious and you become a resilient, tough motherfucker because you believe at your core, deep down in your ability and value, stuff might get you down temporarily. Sooner or later, your subconscious pulls you back to where those subconscious beliefs are. The opposite can happen. If you feel you're not good enough, if you feel I keep on failing, why can't I do anything right? What's wrong with me? If that's down in your core, I'm always falling short. If these beliefs are in your core, we've seen time and time again through different coaching communities, coaches giving people good advice, and they're really motivated and they try really hard and they're making progress, and then something happens and boom, back down. Why? Because they have this deep down belief, I'm not good enough, I'm always going to fail, I'm falling, no matter how hard I try, it's not good, or just whatever. They have some shit in their core, and we've had people like that. That was Brent Caldwell.
Yeah. Dude, we won the show.
Coaches gave up on him. They're like, this guy's hopeless, and then we fix his internal world, and then he just takes the hell off. He just takes off and overcomes those challenges.
Look, rewind this very show.
Fix your core, it changes everything.
What did I say in the beginning? You fall to the level of your programming. You don't rise to the occasion. And there's also a saying about that with the training. You don't rise to the occasion. You fall to the level of your training. That's the same thing in your subconscious. You fall to the level of your programming. Nothing good enough can happen because you'll never allow it.
Or you rise to
you really don't believe.
Yeah.
Exactly. If
you have all this crap hit you and then out of nowhere you get that spark. Remember who you are, Joe.
You might be laying flat on your fucking back looking up like, what the fuck? And then all of a sudden it just hits. Like, hold up. Get the fuck up. What are you doing?
And then exactly.
And it changes immediately.
My honor and pleasure to help put that in you, brother.
Yes, you did.
Absolutely,
dude.
You're welcome.
There was a lot of work that went into that, and I truly believe you were the keystone to the process of change. There was things I was doing and looking into beforehand that was so impactful. And so I tell people
You're
about it all
welcome.
the time. I tell people that all the time. Hypnotherapy. You haven't done it. And so most people are so programmed by the mainstream and like they oh, what's that? Like,
Andrew Huberman, one of the top 10 podcasts in the world, Stanford neuroscientist, huge fan of hypnosis. And I just did a 4-part series on my channel, picking apart everything he says about hypnosis, how it can rewire your core like that. He talks about that. Watch my series on super neuroplasticity. I pick all his stuff apart.
Because people are lied to and they're told that
take this pill.
It takes years of therapy. Take this pill, talk through it. Cognitive therapy, behavioral therapy.
Become our annuity, become our source of income for years and years.
Exactly. Stay crippled.
Which is bullshit.
If it's coming from the mainstream, it's a lie, and it's not going to benefit you.
Yeah,
I'm telling you, if you're out there and you're struggling, do this shit with this guy. I'm telling you.
I got a free program that's helping people.
Yeah, he's got a free program.
I have a 6-part. I had a guy 10 out of 10 depression, did my free course, cured his depression, and that's super neuroplasticity part 4. Second half of that, I interviewed that guy who did the free stuff and changed his world. And part 3, there was one guy, 9 out of 10 procrastination, will put off stuff for months. Listen to one audio, fix 75% of his procrastination, and he had his first $25,000 month after that for his business, where he was struggling before that.
Well, that's a lot of good stuff.
Do the free stuff.
We're running low. I wanted to ask you something more specific. Yeah. Something directly related to your romantic life and how this helped you with women. Tell us about your before and tell us about the after and tell us about the why. A brief synopsis of, or as deep as you need to get.
I'll tell you, when I was 38, I remember. So I found the whole fix your inner world, self-hypnosis / hypnosis. The program was for people who's had suffered from narcissistic abuse. My mom has MPD. And I found that like later part of age 38. But I remember earlier that year, I would occasionally get first dates and I would rarely get second dates. Just girls would ghost and flake. And there's actually, my old business website's still up because I still take occasional projects on that, like really good ones. And I have videos on there. On the video section, you can see me 13, 14 years ago before I cleared my Trump. My energy's totally different. I'm like so much more nice guy, like shy, bashful. Oh, I don't want to offend anyone. Please don't be offended. Nice guy. That was my energy back then. And yeah, so girls don't like that energy. Girls want a man with strength above all. A capable man with internal strength and external strength too. So I remember to this day, I still remember I had this kind of realization in my brain, and it was a lie back then, but I still remember this because it was kind of a profound shift in me. I was in a grocery store and I just had this realization: I'm never going to marry or get the girl I want. I'm 38. It hasn't worked so far. These girls, they ghost me, they flake, something will start and then it dies off. They always lose interest, because of my weak energy because of my trauma, because I was raised in a home where I was constantly dominated, manipulated, and controlled by a female who had a lot of wounds. And, and that was in my subconscious, so what was interesting is when I was profoundly depressed for about 3 days after I had that realization. And then I actually felt kind of free because I'm like, oh, I don't have to worry about chicks anymore. But with that said, I had gotten to the point in my life where it's like, well, it's not going to get any better. I mean, I had a decent paying job, is slightly above average income, somewhat above average, not 6 figures. And, I was my own boss. but a few friends, you know, but not going to get the girl of my dreams. And like things just hadn't worked out how I wanted them to. Didn't feel very good about myself. And then I found this program, and then after just listening to these audio recordings, it's an active process. You go inside, you find trauma and negative feelings and beliefs in you, and you get them out of using these special techniques. After 3 or 4 of those, I was just like happy for no reason. I'm like, nothing good has happened today. Why am I happy? And then after listening to like 10 of those audios, and that's not as effective as what I do now, but it's still very effective. After 10, I'm just like, oh, my life's different. Holy cow, everything's different. My life's forever changed. With that said, I had the mindset for about 7 years to about 6 years to about age 44. I did date a little for 2-3 years, and then I didn't date hardly at all and consider myself MGTOW. And the reason I didn't date is what I learned from listening to these self-hypnosis audios and change my internal world. What I learned is I have value just for who I am. I don't need a woman to be good enough. And up to that point, I was trying to get women because it's like, well, if I get a good girl who loves me, I must be lovable. Then I must be good enough. Yeah. That is, and by the way, that women do not want a guy with that mindset. They want a guy who already feels good enough. The real him is good enough. That is authentic confidence. If you think the real you is good enough, you can be the real you with no apologies. There's another subconscious belief I put in myself and put in many others. I have massive value just for who I am. If others don't see my value, it just means they can't see it. Doesn't mean I don't have value. And what happens is, you know, women shit test. I used to know what shit tests were, and I would still fail them. And then like a minute after she shit tested me, I'm like, damn it, I still kind of like lost my shit. Well, what's happening, if you have a subconscious belief tied to a painful feeling, that's subconscious trauma. If there's something in the outside world that's a match for that, it spikes the feeling. The feeling takes over, you get triggered, and you lose your shit when she shit tests you and you fail the test. So I had to go in and clear that trauma. Now women shit test me and I just don't care because there's nothing in there. There's no pain in me to trigger now. So I'm like, whatever. But I knew what shit tests were back then. I studied them, and women would still shit test me, and I would go to my go-to reaction, which is to get defensive or people please or just whatever. And then the girl would go. So frustrating. So I had about 6 years after I started working on myself, and just my income was going way up and all this stuff was improving. I was just happy in all of this, but I wasn't really dating women. But after about 6 years, I said, geez, you know, I'm a great guy. I'm awesome. And you know what? Okay, I don't need women for validation. That's why I wasn't dating them, because I used to date them for that reason, but I stopped because I'm like, I don't need them for validation. What do I need them for? I'll just view porn or whatever. After about 6 years, I said, you know, I should fix this, because men and women are supposed to be together, and that's part of the human experience. So maybe I don't need women, and they're a pain in the ass in many ways. And it's true, man. You know, dating is and being with, it requires a lot of time and effort and energy. But I said after 6 years, about 44 at this point, hey, it's worth figuring out. I can do it. Come on, I have value, you know. And I started dating. I dated like 36 women in the next 5 months. And all this subconscious insecurity that I hadn't cleared yet, I didn't even know it was there. It was getting triggered by these women. That's one of the things women are great at, is exposing internal weakness. They will push your buttons, whether they mean to or not, whether they try or not.
That's part of the job, is to do that for you.
Yeah. And it's also just how, you know, we're wired sexually. You know, our sexuality actually, they've done brain scans, and every part of your brain lights up when having sex. Every part. So your whole freaking brain. So it's really connected to like every part of who we are, you know. So yeah, they dug up a bunch of insecurities, and I literally felt women were going to backstab me, betray me. I was not safe with them. I had all these other insecurities, even though I had cured my depression, cured my rage, cured my anger, cured my anxiety. All that other like baseline stuff had been long gone. Totally cured. With regards to dating, 6 years in after starting this journey, they were spiking all this. Well, I went in, I used the same techniques, I fixed all that stuff, and I don't even know if I want to say it like publicly, but let's just say I started having some pretty crazy success. Let's just say this. It is absolutely possible for older guys in their 40s. You think it's too late for you to get the hot girls you really wanted for like the last 30 years? No, you're in your 40s. You can absolutely get those women in their prime who are everything you want. You absolutely can. And I did. And then, I've been in Latin America, Mexico City, Costa Rica for 5.5 months, but mostly Mexico City. And it's just insane. You can't even handle everything coming your way. So, in fact, you got to kind of throttle it back so you have enough, you don't want too much distraction from women. You throttle it back so that you're still on your mission doing the stuff you need to do, So the problem solved,
You, with your life experience, the tools you have from hypnotherapy and hypnosis, you've put together a course to help men deal with this exact anxiety related to women in relationships and romance.
Yeah.
Tell us about that.
Well, I worked with John MLD for, 5 years. Mm-hmm. And he has coached hundreds and hundreds of men, and he's coached thousands. And I've done hundreds of sessions I've done sessions for hundreds of his guys. He noticed something, and I noticed it too, and then I helped them with it. He would have guys come to him who wanted to get better, and they just couldn't pull the trigger on stuff. They just couldn't do it. They were stuck. Something internally was making them resist doing the work. Or they would do it, and they would start, and they would make great progress, and everything's going great, and they're kicking ass, and then they would crash and burn. They would self-sabotage one way or another. And it's, John was just like, what is this about? What's going on? And he would refer them to me, and I would do a session or two for them. And there's a few need more, but I'd say 80%, 1-2 sessions. That's all they need. And all of a sudden, they are not crashing and burning. All of a sudden, they are not procrastinating. They're doing the work. They're pulling the trigger. They're taking off, and they are sustaining it. What is the difference? We cleared subconscious trauma and limiting beliefs. People had a deep, the book Atomic Habits is the best-selling book in history on habits. The guy researched psychology and neuroscience, all the studies and reports he could find. He researched it for a year before he even started writing the book. In chapter 2, he talks about identity-based habits. We do that which our identity is a match for. Mm-hmm. And there is a mountain of research on this. What we believe about our ability and value affects what we do. And if you feel you don't deserve good things, if you feel you're not allowed to have them, if you feel you're falling short and can't get them, or you'll just fail, even though you logically say, well, I don't always fail. I succeeded here. I succeeded here. I succeeded here. But if down in your core, because what happened to you as a kid and the conclusions you drew as a kid, what you feel you can think things up here and feel completely different down here. You know what I mean?
You'll always fall to that level of programming.
And you can't just self-talk alone. I think good self-talk is great, but that alone isn't going to fix your shit if you got trauma. It won't. No, it'll do a little bit. So you got to fix that. And so these people who are procrastinating, and, they call them red pill masturbators, right?
Yeah.
They study all the courses. They learn all the information, and they don't do shit. Why? Because there's something in them that says, if you do that, you're probably only going to fail. So it's a little different. It varies from person to person, but common theme is, if you do that and you fail, it's going to prove you're a failure. I don't want your subconscious, I don't want you to prove yourself you're a failure. So I'm going to keep you from doing it. And they don't do it. They procrastinate. They have or people will start because they get excited about doing the work. But as you travel down this road of progress, the closer you get to some point where you're really going to find out the answer to whether you really can hack this or not. And so people will start doing the work, and then their brain's like, listen, man, if you keep going, you're probably going to find out that you're going to put your all into it and you're going to fail, and that's just going to prove you're a loser. So I'm going to sabotage you before you get to that point so that you can then say, I could have tried harder. I could have done it if I would have tried harder.
Self-sabotage is still common.
You have an excuse as you have an excuse now, as opposed to you have no excuses because you went all out and you failed, and that means you're a failure. That is devastating. So your brain says, I don't want you to feel that devastation, to find out that ultimate answer, what you suspect deep down that you're not good at. I don't want you to figure that out and then be hopeless the rest of your life. So I'm going to get you to self-sabotage and stop before you go all out. So then you have an excuse. I could have done it. I just didn't try all out. So people will self-sabotage. These are all things our subconscious does to keep us from facing the worst pain inside of us, which is this toxic shame. You know, if I fail, it means I'm a failure. Subconscious, like, okay, I'm just going to keep you from trying anything you can fail at. And people procrastinate. We have limiting beliefs. You believe you can make $100,000 a year, so you do. But then something in you is like, oh, I'm not meant to really make it big. So you have these limiting beliefs, and your subconscious mind doesn't want you to find out you really can't make it big and then feel horrible. So
it will proactively tear it apart. Sabotage.
That is self-sabotage. You know, Dr. Ryan Taraban talks about, he has an episode on self-sabotage, and he's like, there's a guy in a bar that's like, you know, someone insults this guy, and he's like, goes after the dude, but he knows his friends are going to hold him back and keep him from beating up that guy, and therefore also keep him safe, keep him from getting beat up. And, you know, so self-sabotage is like you get to actually try and act like you're, you know, kicking ass, but falling short of finding out ultimately you're not good enough. So, yeah. So get it out of your subconscious. Hey, you have value whether or not you fail or succeed. You have value. You're like a diamond. A diamond doesn't need to succeed to be good enough. It's a freaking diamond. So unconditional self-love, self-acceptance doesn't mean we're delusional. We're not. You are actually more in tune with what's in your internal world and more aware of your flaws than ever, but you understand that my flaws don't make me not good enough. I have value even with my flaws. Welcome to the human race. Everyone has flaws, still good enough. And then when that happens, when you're like Thomas Edison, who says, you know, he tried 1,000 times to invent the light bulb. He succeeded, but he failed 1,000 times first. And you see his quotes on the internet. I never failed. My success just had 1,000 steps. I didn't fail. I learned one more thing that didn't work. How he looked at failure is failure doesn't affect my value. It's just learning and growing. And so he had no fear. He had no pain. It's not like, oh, I failed. Now I'm a loser. That wasn't in his subconscious. He's like, I'm going to get it, man. It's just a matter of time. It's just learning and growing till we get good enough until we get there. Or maybe we figure out it's not what we really want. But regardless, failure has no effect on my value. I have enough value. I have massive value just for who I am. No more pain tied to failure. No more need for your brain to keep you from doing anything that could lead to that terrible pain of not being good enough, of feeling that, getting that triggered, because it's not in you anymore. That old belief is out. The new one that doesn't have pain in it is in your core. No more pain, no more need to avoid. And then you just move forward and you do cool shit. You're doing it. I'm doing it. My good friend Tim Costello, he had a wife who 20, 30 times tried to start a business. But right when it came to opening shop, she would stop every time, 20, 30 times. We did one session. We got this shit out of her. She now has a business with so much demand. They're like backlog for 6 weeks worth of orders. And she's, you know, making, I think they're doing like 20,000 in sales or 26,000 in sales or something like that. And it's growing like rapidly. And it's like 65% profit margin. And they're just out of her home and they're just killing it. She quit her Walmart job she hated. She now is working for herself with her own business, and it's exploding because everything that made her stop short 20, 30 times start a business, everything that made her stop it every time because she didn't want to actually open shop, take that risk, have it all go to shit. And then it's like that voice in the back of her head, her dad, see, you really are a loser. I told you couldn't do it. That happened to her when she was a girl. That was gone. No more resistance, taking off. And she's doing it now. I have her testimonial on my YouTube channel. You go on the video section, it's Carrie and Tim. You can watch it. You'll hear it from her mouth.
Not only do you have tons of testimonials, you have my testimonials, you have
thank you
free course content, free hypnosis, like
that helps
stuff
people.
You're talking about is there.
It's not just information, it's actually helping people for free.
Yes, it's real deal.
It's the basic stuff.
Yeah, but that's
it's powerful. It's nuclear powered still.
Then you're putting out this course. And so when do we expect to see that?
Yeah, so this next course, it'll be out in approximately a month. And it's all men's issues with dating, relationships, women, sex. Because that is a huge hang up for so many men. It was a huge hang up for me until I was about 44 years old. And both you and I know how great women can be when you got your stuff together. So we start off with approach anxiety. We're going to nip that in the butt. I know exactly what causes approaching. I've cured approach anxiety for dozens of guys. Like literally, and I have testimonials on my YouTube channel about this, literally 30-year-old virgin or 28-year-old virgin, 10 out of 10 approach anxiety, never approach a girl in his life, do a session next day, 2 out of 10, and 5 months later, he's been with 3 girls. I did a session for one guy. I think he had a 5-year dry spell. And he was a successful guy. He was an engineer in charge of other engineers. And I remember a guy came to me for a session. I'm like, oh, how'd you hear about me? And he says, well, you're my friend, this guy. And I'm like, oh, yeah, I did a session for that guy. How's he doing? And he said, well, this guy's always been very shy and bashful. And we were in a restaurant and there was a really hot waitress. And he went up and talked to her and got her phone number, and then they went out and dated, and I guess he slept with her, and like everyone was stunned. They're like, what the hell happened to this guy? He's like a doormat shy dude. Now he's going up like just some stud and getting this girl's number and just shagging girls. And he's like, I want some of that. So that's why I'm here. And so get that self-belief in, get that toxic shame out, that insecurity out. We start with approach anxiety. We get guys out of the friend zone. It's always a choice to be in the friend zone for a man. You can always say, hey, listen, this is what I want. I am romantically, sexually interested. You don't have to say it word for word. You can do it that way. But more or less, you say, listen, I either want to be in a romantic date, relationship, whatever with you, or I don't want to be in your life.
And, you know, in society, it's programmed men to think, friend your way to her. Romantic.
That doesn't work, man.
Does not work. It's a lie. And a lot of men don't understand that. And I believe it's just that toxic, limiting self-belief that's the only way they can get to this woman. And that's the best course to take. They don't have the balls or the self-worth to say like, no, that does not work for me at all. Friends, what? No.
Yeah. By the way, DT, I'm going to answer your question. I'll just tell you about it because there's a few different things you can do. I got a free 6-part course. School.com / it's school.com/mindchrysalis-7138.
Can you put that in the chat?
Yeah, I'll put it in the chat. Let's see here. So we'll start with the free stuff. It's a 6-part course. And it actually teaches you self-hypnosis, and it's helped people. It's helped people pretty massively. It is basic, do it yourself. 80% are going to be able to use it. Some of you guys are going to struggle and need more intensive help, but
I recommend getting the one-on-one. Like save the money.
Yeah. By the way, I do free 30 minutes. At least one for free. I'll put that Calendly link in the chat, but let's see, make sure I got that right.
Bank that money, pay this guy, get the results.
You do a full session. A full session's 5 to 6 hours. It's all day because I go in, I analyze your internal world, and we get as much out of you as we can in one day. Typically 2 to 4 of the worst subconscious programs in you, we get 60 to 100% gone, 2 to 4. That session is $699. If you join the what I just put in the chat, if that's coming up, it's $599. But it's designed to be life-changing. There's 5, 6, 7% of people I can't help in that one session. Everyone else, big, massive, permanent benefit, because we're literally rewiring your subconscious. Now, this new program I'm coming out with, we're actually keeping it to a low price point. It's going to be group training, live webinars, self-hypnosis audios. It's going to be a few hours of video instruction, and it's plus the live webinars. By the way, on that community, we do twice a month webinars. You can ask me anything, and we have different topics. Is that coming up, theschool.com, Mind Chrysalis?
I don't see it. Did you put it in a StreamYard chat or the YouTube chat?
It says, it failed to post, so let me try one more time.
If you pull the thumbnail, the YouTube video up, you might get better success with getting it through. Just make sure you mute the YouTube.
See if it posts. Yeah, it's not sending. I'll try. We'll just everyone will put it in the comments section afterwards. Is that cool? Of your YouTube show?
Yeah, send it to me so I can send
back.
it to
I'll be in there. Sorry, guys.
We'll put it in the description. Yeah, we'll put it all in the description. Not a big deal. Just send
but yeah, so this course, it's gonna cover getting out of, guys are in the friend zone. Dude, that was me until like 38, 39, actually till 44, but I wasn't dating a lot between like 39 and 44. Total nice guy friend. Just what you said. Hey, be her friend. I was raised in this very religious family and church goer, and my church leaders literally said, be her best friend first. And dude, it doesn't. That sucks. That is shit advice. That might have worked in the 1950s.
No, if you never want to get laid, be her best friend.
Yeah, exactly. So,
for crying out loud. No.
Friend zone is an option, but a lot of guys are afraid to pull the trigger. They're afraid to romanticize, sexualize. I had a subconscious belief that women are like, sex is like dirty and bad, and how dare you do that to this innocent angel? How dare you defile her? Because I was raised in this religious,
turned out to be wrong about that.
It's sinful and it's bad. It's like, why? It's the reason we're on this planet is because some horn dog just had a gleam in his eye, and she was down and he was down, and they got it on, and that's why we're here. So, anyways, defeat the friend zone. Don't be afraid to sexualize, romanticize. Don't be afraid to pull the trigger. Talk to that girl. We work on your core. This isn't there's so many coaches say, here's what you do, but they don't fix your subconscious. So you now have the power and authentic confidence to do it. A good coach will tell you what to do. A great coach shows you what to become.
Yes.
We show you what to become. We actually fix that part of you where you feel differently deep down. So, and then bedroom anxiety, performance anxiety in the bedroom. So we're going to cover, and this course is just going to give you true blue confidence, authentic confidence, because you believe the real you has value. Deep down in your core, you believe that. Now you have authentic confidence. So group training with the digital course, $299. And anyone can do a free 30-minute consult with me. So everyone there gets that. You get, Q&As with me in the webinars, etc. And I already have a full digital course or the free program, and I've been doing it in one form or another for 12 years, doing it one-on-one sessions for 6 years, and it just works. It works for more than 90% of people with proper training.
Look, you do not want to miss out on this course. If it's
$299 is absolute steal. Everything else I have is way more. But I'm doing this because I'm launching a brand new way of marketing. I'm building relationships with a lot of different coaches. Mm. And so I want, with all these new coaches that I'm reaching out to and forming relationships with, I want to offer tremendous value. Just like knock it out of the park. Like, I want their fucking jaw to drop on the floor and say, Holy fucking shit, where have you been, Ryan? So I'm offering it cheap. It's not going to be like this. This time next year, there's not going to be anything at that level.
Well,
value for that price.
I'm telling you guys, anybody struggling with anything that we may have talked about and addressed that you can identify with, hire this man. At the very least, go to his website, get his free content, try it out, see for yourself, get a sample.
But yeah, my Inner Masculine website, that's still up. So just innermasculine.com. You can go there.
But if you want to see a tangible market difference in a very short amount of time, hire this man one-on-one, arrange a Saturday, and be ready to sleep after, be ready to be tired the next day. But you're going to get into some shit that you didn't even know existed and that was in there. But you'll be a different person on the other end of that experience.
What's there. And a lot of people don't know until
you'll be a whole nother person. You won't even recognize. Yeah. I'm telling you, I walked kind of in a daze for about a month. Like, I'm not kidding.
What was that like? What was that like? I want to know.
It was.
By the way, shout out to Rick Torres, my man.
Oh, anyways, it's like Rick always. But a month I walked around like, why is it? What does this feel? Why am I not reacting to this? Why do I not give a shit about this?
How would you react before?
Well, it depended on the situation.
Give me an example. What's an example?
Like if somebody would have pushed my buttons and I'd have an emotional reaction, get defensive, take it personal, go inward and think, what's wrong with me? Why is that being said? And then I'd start uber analyzing the criticism or the complaint or the lash out. Yeah. And like, that stuff must be true.
Play it over and over.
And I remember a direct with my ex, a direct exchange. And I was just like, yeah, okay, man, what, huh? Like it had zero effect.
It didn't resonate with you.
No, it was gone.
Whatever.
Part of me anymore. Yeah, I was like, are you serious? That makes no sense. You don't know what
you're doing. Me, I would just feel neutral.
Neutral.
So I was talking about in the past, women would shit test me and I would internally lose my shit. And I'd fail the shit test, even though I knew what they were and studied like what to say to defeat them. I still fail the test. And then I fix my core. And then when shit test me and I literally feel neutral, it's like I feel nothing. I'm just like, okay, whatever. And then the women internally are like, damn, that didn't even phase him.
Yeah, this dude can't be moved. He must be awesome.
And just getting in your internal world right, you get real authentic confidence, your sexual market value goes up at least a point.
Absolutely.
Just like that. But you're also pulling the trigger. So many guys don't pull the trigger. Now that you got confidence and you know, listen, if this girl rejects me, I'm still the real deal. I'm still good enough. The sting of rejection is gone. It might feel a little, the first few times might feel a little awkward the first, few times.
And as a man, you have to be able to tolerate rejection in every area of life.
Yeah.
You got to be able to move right through it. Like it doesn't exist. That's just part of being a man. Well, man, great fucking stream. Great having you back on. I would love to have you back on when you launch this course.
Dude, you know you're my homie. It's always great talking to you.
Yeah, man.
I'm glad your business is doing so well, and I'm glad you got that little spark in you that picks you up when times get tough, bro.
Well, I have you to thank for that, don't I?
Yeah, you're welcome, but give yourself the credit too. You're doing it.
I do. I'll take some. But,
yeah.
And look, it's part of growth. This is not a magic pill. None of this you want that's going to be quality and
still got to do the work
over a long period of time. You must show up and do the work. You're going to have to get comfortable with being uncomfortable for a little while. There is work to be done. You're not going to lay there and he's going to whisper some sweet nothing into your ear, and then you're going to, start raking in $100,000 a month.
I don't think the actual pain is ever as bad as what people thinks it will be.
No, it never is. It never is. But there's definitely a discomfort. But the beauty of that is, like, instead of therapy where you just got to keep dipping into it, dip into it, you scoop it up with like an excavator, you see it,
throw it,
you realize it's gone.
Yeah.
And then
one session.
Doesn't
say, I'm not saying guys, some guys I fix everything in one set, like all their major issues. Some guys need 6. Most guys 1 or 2, occasionally 3,
I'd say 3 is a sweet spot.
Yeah, like
because you always have that little residual
it
shit.
kind of depends. Some people are more receptive to this than others, but like, you know, for some people it's like 100 times more effective than conventional stuff, and some people it's only 30 times more effective. And then a small percentage, it doesn't help a lot, like maybe 5-6%. It doesn't help very much. Unfortunately, that always sucks, but you know, for them, if hypnosis doesn't work, like you got to get a really high quality skilled hypnotist, because some don't know what they're doing, a lot don't. But for those who really get a high quality hypnotist and you're one of the 5-6% it doesn't work for, there are different psychedelics. Again, do it somewhere where it's legal, but there's different psychedelics that'll force that effect on you, and it's not hopeless or lost for that 5-6%. They still have other options. So
well, good. And yeah, thank you everybody for tuning in. Rick Torres, Slick Rick, good to see you in, brother.
Yeah, Rick, my man.
Jawad DT, Dubs, everybody, thank you for coming in. Ventor, my boy, my son, always my biggest fan. And everybody who's tuning in, everybody who's going to watch us in the future, if you like this stream and you found some value in its content, hit the like, hit the subscribe, and hit that notification bell to get the upcoming streams. Ryan Fowler here will be back. And when he launches this course, he's going to come back and do a special just on the course. And
if I can plug you, I know Joe personally. I've known him for years. He is the real deal. He is the man. He keeps going when times get tough, and he only says stuff that he knows is true and works.
Absolutely. Thank you.
No fluff from you.
No.
The real deal.
Yeah. Yeah. And if you need my help with anything that you talked about or heard about, or know my content well enough to know that I can help you with, hit me up for one-on-one coaching. Go to Instagram, DM me, go to my website, book me for a coaching session. Relationships, dating, pickup, mindset, any of the following. Same thing with Ryan. I'm going to put his information and his link into the description below. Go and try the free content. Just give it a taste and tell me what you think.
It's free and it works for most people.
Even if you think you got nothing to work on, go do it and tell me the results after, and I'll tell you.
And if you get stuck, shoot me an email or do a 30-minute free consult. If you get stuck,
the dude's offering free 30-minute consultations. Like, what do you got to lose?
Yeah.
And he offers that with confidence because he knows he backs his product 100%, and so do I. And so yeah, another great stream. We'll see you soon. Thank you again, everybody, for coming in. All of my supporters, I love y'all.
Shout out to
P-Dubs,
Duarte,
and keep the comments, keep the likes, keep everything going. Get me up in that algorithm. Let's get this show bigger. Let's grow this audience and get the subscribers up. And with that, we're going to close it down. Thank you again, Ryan. Thanks, everybody.
Thanks. Bye, guys. Been great. Good to see you, Joe.